It's really difficult to do, but I think that if you can just stay the course, for the long haul, God's timing will really show and the plan will really fall into place.
Having Jesus in the forefront of my life, I have zero fear. I have zero fear of where's my next check coming from, where's my next client coming from, what's going to happen next, because God removes the fear from me and says, hey, follow me and I'll set you free.
But nonetheless, It all comes from the Spirit of God. If you're true to who you are, if you're listening to the voice of God, you're following the leadership of God, all of those things will come together.
For me, the key is to really surround yourself with godly men.
I think our only purpose here is to help people see that God is real and that Jesus is alive.
Yeah.
We truly are in a partnership with God. If you really want to learn to have faith in Jesus and to grow in your relationship with Jesus, become an entrepreneur.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Kingdom Business Interviews. For those of you that don't know, we interview successful business owners that are strong in the faith here to help struggling entrepreneurs along their business journeys. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Tyler, and today we're here with Blake Miller, a business owner here at Renew Coffee here in downtown Royce City, Texas, right? We're in Royce City, right?
Royce City, yeah.
I almost said Rockwall. I'm so used to saying Rockwall. Blake is also a father, a husband. He's also a football coach at a middle school here in Royce City, and he's also a worship leader at your church, correct? What was the name of your church?
It's Faith Outreach of Greenville, say FOG or FOG.
Okay, cool. So we have a all-around entrepreneur, not just in business right here, all-around kingdom businessman right here. I'm excited to dig into your story and get a little bit of your journey, man. First off, we can start with what got you into business in the first place. What was the drive, the ambition, the intention? What was the reason you wanted to get in business?
Well, I think a couple things. Starting with faith, me and my wife started off with heavy prayer and heavy guidance from the Lord. And so that was kind of step one. As far as the motivation from a personal standpoint, it was a lot of going to different locations when we were in college, back in 2019, 2020, during the COVID years, thinking, this is what we really enjoy doing, drinking coffee, just hanging out, studying, doing whatever we needed to. It was always our version of going out. And then when we got over here and we moved out here to Royce City, we just always kind of harkened back to that, about the fact that we really liked coffee, really liked going out to coffee shops, different locations, trying the different stuff. It's obviously been something we've enjoyed drinking over the years. And then, like I said, couple that with faith and our desire to someday be able to give our daughter something to give to her, pass on, start creating that long-term success for ourselves, get out of the mundane. We were like, we got to start somewhere. Circle back to the beginning, faith, prayer, jumped right into it.
Man, I love that, and I love how you guys wanted to leave something to your kids. And this is not only something that you can leave just to your kids, but this is something that can be passed on for generations to come, man. And that's what we're actually called to do in the Bible. For those of you that don't know, I don't remember what scripture that was. Do you remember where it said something about leave your wealth to your children's children?
No, I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of the scripture off the top
I'll have
of
to
my head.
look that up. But while that's loading up, man, how has your faith in Jesus influenced you in the way that you operate your coffee shop?
So the best way of putting it is that, first of all, we close on Sundays. We do the Chick-fil-A thing. So
nice.
That was something that my wife and I made a decision of before we ever opened. We were like, we're going to, being that we are worship leaders, and she's also on the worship team. She sings lead for our worship team. We knew that church was going to be first for us. And so having that strong faith, a lot of business owners from not only the surrounding area, but also just our personal mentors that we talked to kind of leading up, probably disagreed heavily with that, because Sunday's really a moneymaker day, especially for something like coffee.
Yeah.
So to openly say we're going to close on a moneymaker day was a big deal for us. But it was also something that we felt like if this is going to be something that this is a door that God opens up for us, well, then we're going to put Him right in the center of it still by staying closed on His day. Then that trickles down all the way to our employees. We staff Bible school employees. We have pretty much all of our employees are regular churchgoers on Sundays and even some Wednesday nights, and so that creates kind of that Christian atmosphere in the shop. So it starts from the top to the bottom and just kind of trickles down throughout the whole, and down to the name. The name is
That's the one I was going to ask you about next if you didn't touch on it.
yeah. The name is also comes from Scripture, and it's about renewing your mind, your body, your spirit. So we figured coffee is what that's for, but then also that's what we use the Lord for. That is to renew our mind, body, and spirit. And so yeah, it comes down to everything.
So it's a good influence. You know, you're
Yes.
taking worldly influence and you're bringing it in for the use of the kingdom.
Exactly.
And you're bringing in people like, hey, you know, we have coffee, but we're all about Jesus up in here. I love that, man. That's what I was going to say. I was going to ask you, so where did the name Renew come from? Because I figured that's what it was from
Yeah,
the
it's in
Bible.
Scripture. When people come in the shop, this was back when we first started opening. To me, it was such a big compliment when people came in the shop. They would say, because we're not in your face about it, you know, if there's nothing on the wall that says, hey, it's a Christian organization, it's a
Right.
Christian coffee shop. I mean, the name is Renew, but that could be
That could
a number
be
of
like
things.
renew your day.
Well, when people come in, and this is back, like I say, back when the beginning all the way up to now, people would be like, man, you can hear the music, obviously, but people would say, man, is this are y'all faith-based? And we'd always be like, man, how'd you pick that up? And they would say things like, I could just tell by entering the room, I could tell by feeling the atmosphere, meeting you guys, all this kind of stuff. And then that's when we start to sharing our stories. And that's always such a big compliment to me. So it definitely is felt by the public.
Man, and I did too when I came in too, and it was just like I saw the necklace on you, and then I actually came. For those of you who don't know, this is actually the same room that I interviewed Dustin Red Wallace in. He allowed us to come back here and film our podcast and everything like that, and you were just so welcoming. It was just such a peaceful environment when we came in here, and Blake was just super nice and you could just tell, like you said, like even me coming in here for the first time ever, like I knew. I knew you were faith-based, and I still asked you because like I wanted to hear it from you, but
For sure.
But yeah, man, no, I can definitely see that for sure. I have the scripture here. It's actually Proverbs 13:22 about leaving your wealth. Yeah. It's a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, but the wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous. So I guess that could mean that like if you store up wealth and you don't leave it to your children's children, that it's going to go to the righteous people somehow.
Yeah, pass it on to the next generation.
Yeah. I love that, man. So let's move on, and because I got some questions here that are they're super related to, you know, how do you integrate faith into your business. But before I go there, man, I really just want to get your business journey. This is your first business, right?
Yeah, this is the first one we've ever had. We started it last year. December 9th was our opening day. It was a downtown Royce City here. We're on a main strip, had a parade. And
okay.
I'll tell you, it goes back before that. So the conversation kicked off that summer. And the conversation became real in August. Well, it went from conversation to action. The action became real in August. All the way up to the end of August, which is when we were able to secure this location. Then from about August 28th, I think it was, until December 9th, we were on a crash course to getting this place open. And we were on a time crunch for sure. And at the time, I was a coach and teacher over in Mesquite, Texas. So I was driving from home to work an hour to an hour and a half both ways, teaching and coaching over there in Mesquite, then coming all the way back over here in the evening time and working all night until
Getting this place ready.
Probably 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock every night from end of August all the way to December. Because we knew, first of all, we had to get open for financial reasons. We had to get open. And then second, we knew kind of as it inched closer that parade was coming. We actually missed one. They had I can't remember what it was, but back in maybe October of last year.
I bet that hurt.
Yeah, I think it was a Halloween parade or something like that. So having this place half done, and seeing all these thousands of people out here on the strip was very hard to see.
Yeah.
And we couldn't. I don't even think we had licensing for anything at the time.
Wow.
So once that one passed, we were on about a 45-day crunch till the next one, the Christmas one, and I said we're getting open for that one. So December 9th, we worked and worked and worked. I remember December 9th rolling around. I came up here and I was still doing touch paint in certain spots.
So you guys actually did all the work in there.
So I grew up. Yeah, a little bit about me. I grew up. My dad has a contracting company, and I've been working with him since I was probably a freshman in high school.
Nice.
So by the time, by the time we were, that I'm grown, we were building the shop. But really, we were able to do it all of ourselves. And then my wife's dad, he also has a ton of knowledge when it comes to just construction and just handy things and being able to do whatever is needed, and really give credit to him. He was coming up here at freaky hours too. I remember one time during that stretch of trying to get it done, because he knew just as much, because him being a pastor, he's all about helping. And I remember him.
I love that, man.
I got it for work one morning, because again, I was driving all the way to Mesquite, so I was getting up early in the morning.
Yeah.
And he was give him a call.
It's a pretty good stretch.
Yeah, give him a call, find out, hey, when are you gonna, because he was coming up to the shop every day, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna go up there and do some work today? So I call him at 5:30 in the morning. He's already here. And I said, when did you get there? And he said he came up there at 1 o'clock in the morning that night.
What?
Because he had something on his mind. He wanted to get it done. He just came up there and he stayed. He said, I'm gonna go home here soon. I get off work at 4 o'clock. He's still at the shop.
Oh my gosh, man.
So it was stuff like that. It was really just a support system of everyone trying to help us out. And then myself being up here in the evening times, Saturdays, Sundays after church, just busting our tail. And then all the way to December 9th. And December 9th, by the grace of the Lord, man, we turned that open sign on. And our first night was one of the busiest times I think we've had to date still, it was our first day being open.
Yeah. So you guys haven't been open a full year yet?
No, sir. We'll be open October 9th would mark 10 months.
Okay.
So it's been about 9.5 months so far.
Okay. So with that 10 months coming up, what are you seeing? Are you seeing?
Yeah. So monthly we're setting records. It's like every week we're setting a new record. We've obviously expanded our team. We used to just have 2 employees for the longest time, because with it being kind of a smaller shop, it was like one of them would take the morning time, one of them would take the evening time. My wife is actually going back she's going back for her RN degree, and so she started nursing school. So we actually brought in, we doubled our employment size, and so they kind of cover the shop all the time. But because we're starting to set records, we're able to do that, and she's able to go she's able to go further her education. I'm able to be a coach and teacher here in Royce City, and
you can have those extra sources of income, man.
and they hold time. It down. Yeah, and I love what I do, and I think she loves what she does too. But long term, we would love for it to put us out of work. Honestly, that would be the goal. We'd love to work for ourselves.
Yeah. So as far as plans of growing the business, are you guys looking to getting into opening up more locations eventually? And
you think on a year-over-year scope or a 5-year plan. I'd say with our 5-year plan, that would be kind of the goal would be to have at least a second shop in the works, paid for completely with cash.
Yeah, man.
Straight out of pocket.
No debt, Dave Ramsey style.
So there we go. So that would be the 5-year goal.
So are you guys in debt on this one?
Yeah, a little bit. It's the classic saying of you got to spend money to make money, take that risk. We did, and now we're actively climbing out of it, and it's going good right now.
One of the questions that I have told myself I wanted to start asking my people that I interview, the business owners that I interview, is how much have you ever made in a single year? But you guys haven't been open for an entire year yet. So let me ask you, how much have you guys made in a single month here so far?
Yeah, so
what's your best month? What's the most you ever made in a single month here?
Yeah, right now it was last month. We were somewhere around the $16,000 mark.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
So that it comes out to, with cash and tips and all that kind of stuff, it comes out to about $4,000 a week.
That's awesome, man.
So yeah, just strictly coffee sales. We don't even do food really. We have muffins and stuff like that, but that's strictly on coffee sales.
That's amazing.
So that's kind of future plans. We are actively going to expand into different business ventures. We want to get a freezer. We want to start doing breakfast sandwiches and bagels and whatnot. It's just kind of, we really wanted to take the first year and just kind of get the concrete coffee down.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
Look at expanding next year.
I love that. It reminds me of that verse about getting your fields ready before you start building your house.
Exactly.
I think I say that on like every interview that I do, because a lot of the stuff that we talk about, when in business, that it's super crucial and important to build your foundation strong before you start trying to grow. So that's awesome, man. The second question I have here that I actually had written down is something that I was actually just thinking about asking you anyways, kind of shooting from the hip style, but it's here. Is what are some of the biggest challenges that you guys faced when it came to opening up your own business, especially when you're a husband, you're a father, you're a coach, you're a leader at your church, like your wife's got, you guys got stuff going on. Mm-hmm. And so I imagine there had to have been some hurdles that you guys had to jump over, so I wanted to ask, just kind of for the audience to know, like, what are some of the hardest things that you guys had to overcome to get this thing going?
Yeah. So before giving the answer, I would say that, like, I watched a good video on this not too long ago, and it was like, business is all about, if you don't have problems right now, you're gonna have problems. They're coming. And so there's always hurdles to overcome. There's always challenges. This summer specifically, we had AC issues while customers were here. I mean, it was.
Oh man.
So there's always something. I mean, it's just kind of par for the business. I'd say, like, first starting out, it was inexperience for sure, just not knowing what to do, and really having no guidance, because nobody in our family or any close friends or anything like that were ever venturing into a scale like this. So inexperience was hard in the beginning, and then obviously personal schedules. At the time, our daughter was 7 or 8 months old.
Oh, baby.
Yeah. So she was, this is no lie, we used to bring her up here in this room, and we would have her pack and play set up while I'm cutting wood in the front area.
That's awesome.
And so she's in here watching videos on the phone in the pack and play, and she's almost 2 now. But yeah, at the time, we would have her up here because, one, we didn't have a babysitter, or our babysitter, her dad, would be up here working, so he would have to have her up here. So that was difficult. Plus, I was making my drive from Royce City to Mesquite. That was hard, just mentally. That was very hard.
Oh man, I deal with that every day. I can relate to that.
Yeah, and then so the whole adjustment of doing it was an overcome. Like the adjustment, like from a personal standpoint, adjusting our life around being business owners, and then the inexperience. It's like every turn, everything we had to do to get on board with the city, with inspections, with health code, we'd never done any of that stuff, and so we were just,
like, you mentioned that to somebody that's like doesn't know any of that, and they're trying to start a business, and and then you get hit with all of it, and it's like, I didn't know about all this.
Yeah, when the plumbers come out for the first time and give you a quote for $15,000, and you're like,
I can't do that.
Whoa. You're like, whoa. And then, so yeah, there was a lot of that. And that's what I'm saying. I think faith, looking back on it, it's funny, even just sitting here talking, it's a blur. I don't even know how we're 10 months into this, because everything I'm saying right now, I can vividly remember.
Yeah. Like this was recent.
Oh yeah. I vividly remember it. The fact that we're setting records, and we've got an expanded team, and we're moving into the now fall and winter months for coffee sales. I'm just like, shoo. I mean, we've been through. There was a storm.
Yeah, I remember.
Came through.
I remember storm came through.
Flooded our shop. This all happened within our first 10 months of business.
Dang. Man.
We had to overcome all that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. It's like, if you don't have problems today, they're coming. That's what the guy was saying. He was like, and so being a business owner, you got to be you have to have the right mindset going into it. But that's why I'm going to always circle back to the whole faith thing.
Absolutely.
Man, if I didn't know the Lord, like, I don't know how we would have continued doing this.
Yeah.
So it's cool to tell my friends and family, and they're like, you're a business owner, that's so cool. And it's like, yeah, but You know, there was a lot that went into. There was a lot of elbow grease, to say the least, that went into it.
Yeah, and a lot of people, you know, they really want the results, but they don't want what
That's
the
the
results
truth.
take. You know,
That is the truth.
And I love what Dustin said to, or Red. I call him Dustin. His name's Dustin, but he goes by Red. The guy I interviewed here, in here last time, he said, man, if you want to grow your faith in Christ, he said, become an entrepreneur.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
Because you're gonna have to lean on somebody.
It's a tough life. Now it is something that my wife and I, man, we want it. We really want it bad, and we see the future. We can project the future.
God gives us that vision, yeah.
Yeah, and the constant conversation is, you know, we're gonna try to live like no one else, so we can live like no one else in the future. So
yeah, and that's something that I can relate to, right? I think everybody can relate to that in their life right now. It's so easy to step on out and live beyond your means, and where we live at today. I mean, you can go get a credit card, and you can go rack up a credit card, you know, just like that, you know, without even realizing it. You're like 2 months in having a credit card, and then you're 10 grand in debt.
Right.
And you don't have anything to show for it, man. It's super fascinating to me, you know, actually experience it, but then growing my faith in my relationship with God. It's like the things it talks about in the Bible, you know, the borrower slave to the lender. So when it comes to stuff like that, it's like living within your means, only worrying about the things that you need, and then worrying about being diligent and working and minding your business and all those types of things. It's obvious to me that, like, the obedience of what the scripture says within you and y'all's laser focus on being, you know, Christ-centered here, I think that may have a lot to do with y'all's success, man.
Yep.
I mean, just putting in the work and just staying on the grind and staying disciplined, and because I think that's where, you know, obeying God comes from, is just like self-discipline and just listening. Like, you know, you got all these distractions, you got all these temptations, you got all these reasons and excuses and things that should be why you can't do what you want to do, but, you know, you just say, nope, I don't need all that. I got God, and I'm doing the work. I'm doing what I'm called to do, and I'm going to get to where I'm going. I'm not going to waste my time with all that stuff. I'm not going to waste my money on all that stuff. And I think that's a big thing that holds a lot of people back in business, and not only just in business, but in life as well. And so, man, it's really good to hear that you guys have had the amount of success that you've had out of just doing that within itself.
Right, definitely.
You know, I think about, you know, when you start a coffee shop, and I look at all the work in there, and I'll, you know, if you don't mind, I'm gonna come whenever you guys are open one day, maybe on a Saturday when I'm not working. I'll come here in the morning, get me a coffee, and I want to get some footage of the shop, and I want to show people and throw that on here.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe I might just do it on like a short clip that I do and kind of lead traffic from Facebook to the YouTube video to do that.
For sure.
But there's a lot of work in there. You guys put a lot of work in there. And you think about that, you know, if you would have paid somebody to do that, that'd have been tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah. No, and like I said, it was all done by hand. I mean, matter of fact, the room we're sitting in, even though it doesn't look like much, I can just tell you this room here was the worst part of the shop. This room had, the ceiling was caving in. It had board, like whoever had it previously had run some sort of boarding across the top, and it was all falling in.
Yeah.
And this was a junk room, and it used to be carpet.
Oh, wow.
So, and there was damage all throughout the walls.
Man.
So with that being said, this room had to be completely refloored. Had to have I had my brother in here one day. He's 18. He pulled all those boards off, hauled them all out. I had to go through and patch. You might even, if you look real close, you can probably see where some of my patchwork is done at. Yeah, it was a ton of work. I mean, it was like, and again, mind you, I was working a full-time job as a teacher, which is already in and of itself a very mentally and physically taxing job.
Yeah.
Coming up here and then doing all that stuff.
100%, yeah.
Just every day.
Needed
every
that
day.
coffee.
Exactly.
No,
With a 7-month-old in the corner.
We needed
That was crazy. And having the Texas game on here on my phone.
Yeah. So, I mean, now that you're almost a year in, I mean, would you say that all the hard work and all the grit and all the grind and all the challenges and all the hurdles that you've had to overcome, would you say that they're worth it?
Yeah, I would say they're worth it. I would say that we're inching close to where we need to be.
Yeah.
I'm not in the spot. Neither of us are in the place yet where we're like, we can sit back and relax now.
Right.
But I see that path, and so when I say it's worth it, we've put ourselves on a path to get to there.
Yeah.
Where some people are never even able to get on that path.
And you're seeing progress.
Seeing progress, yeah.
Yeah. Man, I love that. So that can kind of lead us into my next question here is how do you maintain a balance between running a successful business and staying true to your faith-based values and still, putting in the time to be a father, putting in the time to be a coach, putting in the time to be a worship leader? How do you maintain a balance between all that, and then staying true to your faith? Being in a business, because the business world is so worldly.
Yeah.
It's such a worldly. It has a really big worldly influence, I think, on people.
I mean, it's hard. It's not easy. It's a full-time schedule. I'll say that. I don't have a whole lot of days off. Now, I'm also the type that doesn't really want days off. Even in being in the past when I was a teacher and I would have summers off, I would always go get a second job. Not because I was hurting for money, because I was always making good money as a teacher and a coach.
You want to do something.
I just wanted to get out. I'd go mow yards. I'd go do something. Just get out.
Make progress.
Go be outside during the day. So it's not necessarily that it's impacting me from a this is not the life I want to live. It's not really about that. It's more like you said, finding a balance, specifically my home life. So school and football coaching is going to take care of myself. That's kind of step one. As far as the shop goes, since we have done the work necessary to let it kind of self-sustain itself, it's doing that actively. So we have employees here. My wife is usually here 2 to 3 days a week because she's in nursing school, so she's only part-time nursing school, or she's only there Monday through Wednesday. And then myself, I stop in the mornings, in the afternoon, check on things, get a cup of coffee, just kind of see how things are going. On the weekends, try to be here as much as I possibly can. And that's kind of my balance. Now, my wife and I are a team, so she does more of the running it, so she's able to balance us out there. And then when I go home, I got to make it. I have to make a conscious effort to be with my daughter, be with family. Especially up until the point where we put her to sleep. She goes to bed about 8:30 or 9. Being with them during that time, dinner, whatever, sitting at the table with everybody. That's super important. That wasn't something that I necessarily was good at my first couple years of teaching. I used to be, before I was a father, I used to go home and take a nap after school or whatever because I could just do whatever I wanted to. And so there was an adjustment period there of saying, especially with having a business now and having so much on your plate, you have got to make room for family.
Yeah.
And then as far as faith is concerned, where does faith fit in all that? It's all day. It's going to work in the morning, listening to worship music. It is when things get tough during the day, it's praying. It's still going to lead worship on Wednesday nights. I leave the school, drive from the school up to Greenville, and I pull all of our music, and I'm there until 9 o'clock at night. This is after Tuesday nights we have games, home at 9:30. Wednesdays, worship, home at 9:30. Thursday's an off day. Here we are. Fridays, high school football game, home at 9:30.
Yeah.
So it is a week. It is a week, but I find joy in the process. As far as work is concerned and what I do professionally, I love it. So that's not really work to me. If I was doing something I didn't love, I don't know that I would make it.
Right.
I genuinely enjoy what I do, and I enjoy the place that I'm at. And being out of Mesquite now and back over in Royce City, and being with the school that I'm with, and the people that I work with, and the other guys, and all that kind of stuff, that makes it doable.
Yeah.
Then it makes it doable to handle the stresses and the challenges of running a business.
Yeah.
And then my wife being so headstrong in actually running the business, and us having such great employees, and then having faith in the middle of it all, it makes it possible. If any of those dominoes were taken out from start to finish, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work.
Yeah.
It would not work.
It's like you pull one domino, or you pull one card out from the card stack,
wouldn't work.
a card house, and it just falls.
Yep.
Man, dude, that's crazy. That's crazy that you say that, because it's so true. It's every little delicate thing that's put in its place, properly. That if it's not right, then it's not going to work, man.
Yeah.
And so that's That's a true testimony to self-discipline right there.
And I'll say too, this is kind of a side point, but it's just cool. It's just cool how faith works. And I always believe, God has opened this door. A number of years back, when I was at my school in Mesquite, it was after my first year, I had the opportunity to come over to this school that I'm at now. This was 3-4 years ago. And I actually got hired by this school 3 or 4 years back. We didn't have the shop, this was never in play. I mean, it was like, no, this wasn't even a thought at the time.
Oh, so you guys didn't think of this until last year?
Last year. We thought of it, constructed it, and boom, opened. And
dang, man.
Yeah, no, it was. We had small conversations over the year. It really became, like I said, a conversation in that summer of like, we can do this.
Yeah.
And then we was like, at some point, if we're gonna have to talk about it, we're just gonna have to do it.
Yeah.
And I always said too, I would rather fail trying than never know what it feels like.
Yeah.
If it doesn't make it, it doesn't make it.
How will you ever know how far you can actually go?
Right.
Until you push yourself further than you've already gone.
Right. And being that we're young, you figure if it doesn't make it, it doesn't make it. We're young enough to rebuild.
Yeah.
And but that's not our thoughts. We're just that was the thought back then.
Yeah.
So anyway, super side story here about how kind of God works and opens doors. So about 3 or 4 years back, when I was going to come over here, I accepted a position with my school I'm at now, same principal and everything, coaching job. I was going to come over, boom, and instantly I didn't get the peace that I've always gotten. I get this this supernatural, just I feel good about it. God, this is what God wants me to do. Being a teacher, because I wasn't a school person. Being a teacher, I get that peace, and that again, that's a whole other testimony to talk about, but. So I didn't get the peace. I was actually in tears about it for about a week. And this, mind you, I'm moving back home. Like I'm coming. I'm cutting my commute in half. I'm like I'm getting out. I'm going to I'm going closer to home. Going to a nicer school. All this kind of stuff. And I had to go back and tell that principal. I told her. I said, God's not telling me to leave my current place.
Yeah.
And she respected it. She was a big Christian. Fast forward 4 years later, she's still the principal at this school. We get in contact again. I'm ready to go. I feel like God's now telling me it's time to move on, and I knew where I needed to be. I needed to be at my school that I'm at currently. She calls me up. She says, we got a spot for you. Ready to
Nice,
go.
man.
Football coach, everything. Come on. Come interview. We did it. Bam, bam, all that. And now, when I'm interviewing, whenever I am getting the job 4 years later, I also own a business in Royce City. And it was like the timing of that was incredible.
Yeah.
Then when we went for our new teacher orientation with all the district employees, Renew Coffee sponsors it. And
amazing.
That was like, I was like, that wouldn't have happened 4 years back.
Yeah.
That type of exposure would never have happened.
God said, hold on a little bit. Just walk with me.
See, but I would have never understood that.
Yeah.
I would have never understood that. 4 years ago, we always say like God's got a plan, but we can't really comprehend it. We just got to be like obedient to His Spirit.
Yeah.
4 years ago, I wouldn't have known that. 4 years ago, I would not have thought coffee shop, Royce City, like it's all going to connect at some point. I would have never gotten that. I don't even know what He's got 4 years from me from now.
Yeah.
So I would talk about I want multiple locations. I don't know what God's got for me.
Right. He could pivot that. It's cool to see this. Hear what you guys are kind of doing with this back room as well. What are your plans with this area? You're gonna have a studio and kind of another side note about my wife. She does photography. She's been doing photography since we were in college. Does weddings and all that kind of stuff. So we're gonna turn this into a usable photography studio for local photographers, people looking for pictures, headshots, professionals from anywhere. You can, anywhere you can travel into here, and it already functions as a rentable event space. So people come in here, they rent out this back room. We've had everything from baby showers to wedding showers to even high school birthday parties. Oh, cool.
We've got a number of events planned for the month of October, one for November, and then one even next year for March.
Okay, so you guys have revenue coming into Renew Coffee
It's just side. It's like an extra business back here.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna start doing here soon. When I say soon, I mean very soon. We are gonna start pushing this as a new LLC, basically.
Okay. And so there's another door open right there.
Exactly.
I mean, that way you can keep it separate from the coffee stuff.
Yeah.
It's crazy to see that and you guys doing that here because I just saw a huge venue, a huge coffee shop, and a huge space like this. You doing a similar thing over in Richardson. I was working in Richardson last week, and they have this place called Community Coffee and Workspace. Mm-hmm. and they have like this huge, I mean, it's like a 5,000 square foot building in the back, like behind the coffee shop, like similar coffee shop to what you guys got going on up here. And then in the back, like in the back space, they got like, it's like this luxury like work space. Like they have desks, you know, like you guys have. They have like the stand-up desks. They have like little rooms that have like booth doors or like saloon doors or whatever that you can shut and go in there and work it. And they charge a membership fee.
Yeah.
And people come in, they pay a monthly membership fee, and they have access to the workspace. They have, you know, nice bathrooms. They have an outdoor patio. I mean, it's nice too.
Yeah, we'll do something similar on a smaller scale, obviously, you know, renew photography and events or something like that.
Yeah.
And people can book it for seasonal events or, you know, whatever. I mean, the possibilities honestly are endless there.
Yeah.
And honestly too, the margins are great. So
Absolutely. You know, if you can, definitely if you can, you know, do something on like a membership or subscription type thing, I mean, then you just have monthly revenue coming in.
Right.
And that's a blessing. I mean, it's already a blessing what you guys have and what you got going on back here as well. And man, I feel extremely blessed to be in your presence and to be able to have you on my podcast. And man, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys grow and
man, we're excited. We're going to try to stay one step ahead.
I'm looking forward to see where you guys get to, because I see you guys going big. I see y'all growing.
I appreciate
y'all growing.
that.
So let me ask you this, just personal curiosity from the month you started, and then now to month 10, from month to month to month to month to month. How was that growth? Was it a straight line up?
No, it was literally this. It was record. It was the classic up and down. So we had to find some level of consistency. I will say it started going up to where we were going record in about the month of July. So July hit great, August hit great, September we're projecting to outdo August. So
Nice.
So based on the week over.
So, and that's what I think a lot of people that get into business, they expect to launch and they expect to have a straight shot up, and that's not how it works most of the time.
Yeah, no, and like I said, we're becoming more and more comfortable with like knowing what knowing what we can expect on a weekly basis. So right now we can expect, you know, between $3,000 and $4,000 a week. I mean, based on the last 2.5 months, really 3 months, to where in the beginning of the time, 3,000 or 4,000 in a week, like 3,000, 3,500. That was like, I remember we hit our first 3,000 mark like in February, and we didn't hit it again until like August.
Yeah.
And we never got another $3,000 a week until about August.
Yeah.
So we kind of are getting comfortable to the point where we're like, okay, we kind of know what to expect. We know what bills are going to come out what days. We know how to do taxes now. You know, that was one thing that hit me way back when.
So there's another hurdle.
Paying monthly taxes, I was like, crap, man. Like, you know, you got to pay some hundreds of dollars on sales tax on a monthly basis, and I'm like, golly, like.
So are you guys doing all your own bookkeeping?
Everything.
So y'all are doing everything. So tax preparation and everything.
So that's not true entirely. We do quarterly taxes through our POS system, and they do that on our behalf.
When you say POS system, break that down because I don't know what that is.
So our point of sale.
Point of sale. Okay.
So that's like a lot of businesses use, you know, Clover or there's one other I can't remember.
Now, is this something that you integrate within like QuickBooks or something like that?
No, so it's more like when you got to pay at the register and you swipe your card.
Okay, like Square.
Square is what we use.
Squarespace.
So we use Square. So that's our POS, our point of sale. So
Okay.
Square's, we pay a monthly fee to Square so that they handle our federal taxes and our employment taxes.
Okay.
All we have to do then on the back end is pay the city taxes.
Okay.
So that's like.
That's a set amount.
Well, no, not necessarily.
Unless they change
It's
it.
based on how much you make in a month.
Oh,
so
okay.
if you do, you know, 16,000 in sales, they want
Revenue?
their percentage. Yeah, it's just sales tax is all it is.
Okay.
So it's the comptroller's office gives us a call and says, hey, or they don't give us a call, but they, you know, we know when it comes out and they say, hey, by the 20th you need to have X amount paid. And it's based on whatever you made the previous month. So basically, if we make $600 in a day, you know, we're gonna have to take $100 out of that or $50 out of that and put it into an escrow account. 30 days later, whatever's in that escrow account goes to the comptroller's office.
Okay, so see, that was one struggle that I had when I had my well, I still have it. That's one struggle that I have in my business, is dealing with taxes. And so when it came to the money going into the account, and this is part of the reason why my business has not been successful. It's because I haven't figured that aspect out yet. And so it's one of those things that I need to overcome. But it's like, yeah, all the money would go into the account, and then that's what we would operate off of.
Right. No, we would, in the beginning, yes. And we decided to pay extra to Square so that they would handle kind of the federal taxes and the employment taxes. And we do that on a quarterly basis. So I think it was February, then like June, maybe another one. Like we just had our third quarterly one, like maybe last month, and then like November.
Yeah.
And then we're set on taxes. We just have to make sure that we're paying city taxes monthly.
Okay. Do you guys use QuickBooks?
No, we'd not. Well, yeah, we do personally. We don't have like a QuickBook keeper or anything like that.
Right. So y'all use QuickBooks Online or the desktop version?
The online version.
Okay, that's what I was using as well. So when it comes to, dealing with your city taxes through QuickBooks, and this is for people that are already entrepreneurs that might want to know this stuff that are struggling with QuickBooks, because I know that this is a big thing for me. Figuring out QuickBooks with my businesses was like, man, it's tough.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
So when it comes to taxes using QuickBooks, how do you guys figure up and separate your taxes from your revenue, from your profit on QuickBooks? How do you guys organize it?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. That's the point that I was making, is that we don't really have to. We pay money to Square.
Yeah.
Square has a tax team.
Yeah.
And they do all of our taxes.
But that's for your
us.
federal and your employment tax, right?
You're asking how do we keep up with
the city taxes.
Yeah, so
the city sales tax or whatever.
They pretty much they will send they'll have a running account for us throughout the month.
Okay.
So we can just keep checking on it. I'll say pretty generally it's like $50 a day. Plus, all it is sales tax. So Square, the way that it's laid out is Square will say, here's how much you made, here's total that you made. Of that, here's what was cash, and of that, here's what was taxes.
Oh, okay.
So we just look at that tax number at the bottom, the sales tax number. It'll be $47.92. We just take at the end of the day, take out $47.92, put it in the escrow, move on and then use everything else for whatever else we need.
And so is it like an automatic payment? So that goes to the city. So whenever they decide to charge you for it, you have it in that account.
We have to actually pay it.
So you have to manually send it.
We have to hot log online and make the payment.
Oh, okay.
And if we don't have it, or if something happened that month, like when we had the air conditioning problem, we had to dip into that escrow account because we had expense that came out we weren't expecting.
I hate that. And it makes it so hard whenever you have to do that. That's another hurdle. That's another challenge that you guys are going to be. If you get into entrepreneurship, or the ones that are already in it, that's another challenge you're going to be stepping in front of.
Yeah, it's tough, and so but they do good about working with us and giving us extensions and stuff like that. Now they can only do so long. The biggest issue I'll say is, like, even if you get an extension, that's great, but guess what? Next month it's due again.
Still got to pay it.
So it's like you kind of have to play some catch up. Once you do actually get it paid, you have to play a little bit catch up within it. So instead of pulling out $50 a day, then now we're having to pull out $100 a day because we got to catch up to get to the next month.
So I know this is a big one for a lot of entrepreneurs, and now I'm shooting from the hip because I'm engaged. But as far as marketing and like advertising and stuff like that, what's been the most successful tactic when it comes to marketing, advertising that you guys have used?
Social media is big, obviously. We're heavily involved on Facebook and Instagram. And then we had this summer a TikTok go viral. So we had like 8 million views on it.
Dude, that's awesome.
That brought in a couple of people. It was like,
wow.
It was cool to see that.
Like, hey, I saw you on TikTok.
Yeah, so like I'll come and try. Someone came from like Rockwall and was like, hey, I'd love to. I saw you on TikTok, and I just wanted to try it out. And I was like,
that's awesome.
That's free there. We have also printed paper flyers that we've passed out to. Actually, there's a pizza store next door, and he taped into all his pizza boxes to send out for deliveries.
Oh, dude,
and
that's
so
cool.
stuff like that. Word of mouth, I think, is the biggest. I think so. There's 4 pillars of marketing. There's word of mouth. There's physical location. There's social media, and there is one other like I can't remember. Text messages or something like that, like SMS, yeah. So that covers emails as well.
Yeah, I actually received an SMS advertisement from you guys today.
Oh, did you? Yeah. She said she was going to send one out.
The fall drinks.
Right.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of your 4 pillars. You got social media, you got word of mouth, you got physical location, then you've got like digital recurring messages. So actually, that's the least successful type of marketing strategy.
Really?
Because really all you're going to reach there is people who have already been there before.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Then you've got it's interesting. Then you've got social media is third on that list.
So do you guys? So speaking of social media, I'm sorry to cut you off, but speaking of social media individually, do you guys run ads on Facebook and stuff?
Yeah, we do. Well, we post our own ads, and then sometimes we boost them. So like you got to pay money.
That's what I was wondering. Yeah.
We have. I haven't noticed that it makes much of a difference.
I haven't either, man.
It maybe gets us a little bit of more engagement under the post, but I don't notice that it necessarily sparks business by any means.
Yeah.
So I don't see it as that useful. Now I'm sure if you were doing it every day, then maybe, but we're just not at that point where we can do that every day. But yeah, that's the third pillar, and then the second most important pillar is word of mouth. That actually gets you the most marketing is by people going out in the community. So me being a teacher actually really helped our business a lot. And then the most important is physical location. That's the most important marketing strategy you can have, and that's actually probably the number one thing that we're fighting, which is interesting.
Because you're downtown in Royce City, but you're right over here on the corner.
We're right over here on the corner, and our sign and we don't have the biggest open sign, and being new still, people just like 10 months later live across the street go, when did y'all open? I'm like, dude, we opened last year.
Yeah.
Last Christmas we opened, and they're like, I drive through here all the time. I didn't even see y'all. And it's like, but then the city's also super, super strict on your signage and stuff like that. And so I can't just go put a big glow up sign that says Renew Coffee out on the street and put one of those wacky dudes.
Yeah.
I can't. You're not allowed to
Grand
do that.
opening thing.
Yeah. So it's that can be tough. But that's the number one marketing strategy. And whenever people actually do notice us, we're getting the word of mouth. The social media posts are aligning.
So the most effective marketing strategy that you guys have going on right now would say word of mouth.
Word of mouth and social media.
See, that's insane. Because people are spending so much money on marketing and advertising, social media marketing, and those ads. Boosting those posts and stuff like that. I've spent thousands of dollars on those ads, and I've never gotten anything off.
Yeah, I don't notice much of a difference in that. I think your own posts on your personal page is plenty.
Yeah, so it's what they call organic.
Yeah,
organic
traffic.
Organic traffic. Yeah. So the TikTok one, you said you got 8 million views.
It was like
on it?
can I put check it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it
of
was,
course. I'll have to go follow you guys on TikTok now.
Yeah.
After I get my phone.
So our 7.6, see there at the top.
Yeah, you round that up to 8.
Yeah, right. So 7.6 million. We have one with like 200,000, stuff like that. So a lot of them have a few thousand viewers.
And you said there was a few that came in and told you that they had saw that, but there's no telling how many's come in here from seeing that without telling you that they saw it.
And then I'm a teacher. The amount of kids with their parents that come in the shop and say that I'm their teacher. I mean, since I've started the school, I've been at the school for about 6 weeks now, and I mean, we get one of my students in here like every day.
Okay, I imagine that's what I'm saying.
That's that word.
That's
of mouth.
that word of mouth.
Yep.
So that's a good deal. So I have my worship leader in my life group at Lake Point Church over there. His name's Mark Moore. He's the one that owns the Infuego cigar shop at the harbor.
Yeah.
He's got 4 locations. He's also his main thing. He's an architect. And he designs houses, so he's got another company called Archimatrix, which I wished I would have dug into more on the interview because I interviewed him on my podcast as well. But I've noticed that, getting involved in the community and the word of mouth that he's got within, leading the life groups and everything like that, and getting connected with the community in some way, whether it be just through the church or whatever, it drives a lot of traffic to his stores, man.
Right.
I mean, after we leave the life group, I mean, half the time on Saturday nights, we'll all go over to his cigar shop. I mean, and you know, you word of mouth. I'm telling my father-in-law, I'm telling my brother-in-law, I'm telling my buddies. I'm like, hey, look, man, Saturday nights, you know, we go to the harbor and we hang out at the Sark. It's that word of mouth, man. Once you get connected with the community, that has a huge impact on.
Oh yeah, for sure. And being in Royce City, it seems like it's a very supportive community.
Man.
I really talked about there for a little bit. I wanted to continuously trying to think of ideas. I wanted to get involved in missions. Let Renew Coffee sponsor missions and more.
Well, like missions overseas, or just
wherever. Really,
like
start local.
Ministry.
Well, no, I wanted to get with missionaries specifically.
Missionary, that's the word I was looking for. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I wanted to get with missionaries specifically, and when they go and do conferences or they go and do whatever, they advertise Renew Coffee, and we support their mission.
I love that.
And anybody who comes here, what I was going to do was, and this is kind of just still in the talks, but I was going to have, you know, a list of maybe missions we're working with, and when someone, you know, buys a cup of coffee from us, almost like a tithe. It's not really a tithe. That's not what you would call it. An offering.
You'll contribute.
Goes to that mission for the month, you know, if we're sponsoring them or whatever. And then like we set that aside in an escrow, kind of like our taxes, and send it to them at the end of the month.
I love that.
And their job is when they're out, they're sending people our way.
I love that. That's actually was gonna go into the next question. Was like how do you plan on supporting the kingdom with the business in the future and going forward?
That is the way.
So and you said that's in talks, but so was this coffee shop last summer. Right. It was in talks, and now we're in here sitting in it, talking in it. And so that might be a thing that's going to be coming up pretty soon, man.
Right, exactly.
Well, man, I'm trying to think of another question that I wanted to ask. When it came to starting like the coffee shop, I know you guys did most of the work yourself and everything like that. But this is a super important question that I ask pretty much everybody that I interview. Is like, you know, especially when it takes some type of capital to start a business like this, leasing space and stuff like that. Like, what did you guys have to do, and how much did it take to get this place, to get this location, to get the start? Did you guys have to dip into savings? Did you were you able to leverage debt? I mean, how did you guys actually get going to begin with?
Yeah, no, we didn't pay $1 out of pocket, and that was kind of always my goal, was to never have to pay for anything, basically. So yeah, we just leveraged debt is all.
Okay.
We were kind of smart about how we did it as far as interest rates go, and where we took them from. Now, did I do it perfectly? No. I did my best that I could do with the knowledge that I have. Obviously, looking back, there's some things I maybe would have changed. But no, we're the classic, you got to spend money to make money, and that's what we did. And you know, I think you have two options when it comes to getting into a business, especially if you want to get into a big business such as this. You know, move out of online. Even a food truck would have been done the same thing. Maybe it would have been a little bit cheaper, but same thing. You have two options. You either have somebody that has the money, or you have to go borrow the money. And so we had to do the latter, and it was like, we're just gonna. That's that whole risk-taking mentality. Most people are never willing to do that, so most people never find out. Yeah. So,
and you know, and people don't realize that, you know, like I was talking about earlier, you get a credit card and you go rack up a credit card $10K, but you did that to, you know, buy a car, or you did that to, you know, buy some clothes, or you did that to go on vacation. I've done that. Yeah. You know, you don't realize that you're spending money on things that are not going to pay you back, that are not going to be fruitful, you know, like exactly. God talks about, you know, planting a seed and then watering it so you can produce fruit, you know, season after season. And so, you know, when you think of a business and you think of finances and like financial literacy, you got to have some type of financial literacy, you know, going into a business. Either that, or you're going to learn real quick that it's pretty much impossible if you don't. And I've learned that the hard way as well.
Well, yeah, and I mean, and again, a lot of people never find that out, because I'll talk to people that are my age or older, and they don't have a clue about finances. Or
Yeah.
when I'm talking to them about certain things, they're like,
What?
yeah, and I'm 26, and I'm like, you don't know that? And
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, it's definitely, if nothing else, it's educated us for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like you said, if you don't experience failures, you'll never learn.
Right. That's the number one lesson.
So let me ask you this. I know we're running out of time. I know we're kind of getting close to that hour mark, but there's a cat right there. He's just sitting there staring at us. That's awesome.
We got an audience now.
Yeah. He's like, what's going on in there? But no, so you guys didn't have to go into like just a massive amount of debt.
No.
And
It's considered small debt for business standards. So anything over 100,000 would be considered large.
Okay.
We're not even close to that.
Perfect, man. That's awesome. So going into that though, let's just say, I don't want to get too detailed with what you guys had to get, but let's just say you had to borrow, $40K or something like that. Let's just use $40K as a hypothetical number. You guys didn't just say, hey, let's go borrow $40K and we can get this place for however much you got this place for. Like, how much it cost? Are you guys leasing this place?
Yeah, we're renting it.
So whenever you lease, it's like, okay, well, we can afford this much, this many months with $40K and stuff like that, or we need tables, we need chairs, we need this, we need that. You guys just didn't go say, hey, let's just go borrow what we can borrow and see what that does for you. You guys actually planned out every single table, how much it was going to cost.
Yeah. And
you guys probably have a projection of how long it's going to take you based off the revenue that you're making to pay that debt off.
Yeah, and yeah, there's the answer. And I think first year we're playing a lot of defense. So first year we're getting hit with certain things that we're just trying to find out. So I think starting next year, once December 9th, now we'll be able to project and say, okay, we need to make X, Y, and Z in order to pay off this, and that by the end of by 6 months or whatever. I think this first year has been a lot about, learning about how to inventory coffee and syrups and maintenance on the place and rent monthly and
So
payroll.
let me ask you this. Going in, I'm sure you guys, had a financial plan as far as like a projection of like, okay, hey, we project we're going to be bringing in this much on month 1, month 2, month 3, right? You guys were projecting some revenue coming in, then you were projecting your expenses. Whenever you got in, how close were you and how far away were you from your plan and what you expected?
Way off. Way off. So we, way back when, and I don't necessarily give names, but way back when, so about 2 years ago, we were going to actually franchise a different location. And this is kind of really what got the ball rolling. Mm-hmm. Well, we went based off of this coffee shop's P&Ls. And
that's profit and loss for those that don't know.
Yeah. Fast forward to when we're opening, I was like, well, hey, that was actually they'd only been open business for about a year and a half. So I was like, hey, a year and a half. They had showed us the previous year's P&Ls. So like their first year in business. I'm like, first year in business coffee shop. So here's what we can probably roughly expect. I think either there was a little bit of lying going on because of the P&Ls I got, and their shop, again, I won't say any names, but their shop is not ever super busy. And I've been over there even recently. It's not ever super busy. I mean, it's not near here. It's some a little bit of ways away, but it's not ever busy. So the P&Ls
you had something to use as a reference.
I did have something to use as a reference, but it was not an accurate reference.
Because okay, see that's another thing right there is you can easily lie to yourself in business.
Right.
You can easily mess yourself because this happened to me. I'm just gonna go ahead and be vulnerable and be honest here. I mean, there's times where I couldn't remember what expense went to what project I had going on. And so I couldn't allocate expenses in certain ways. So I would put it here, I'd put it in the wrong spot. So my P&Ls were not accurate.
Right.
And so I can relate to that. So I mean, it may not have been, just deliberately like intentional lying on the P&Ls. It may have just been some inaccuracies.
Well, it was like saying that they were making X amount of dollars, which now having been in business for a year, I just don't know how that's possible because
Oh, okay.
we've had like I said, we had our highest month. We're coming off our highest month where we made $16,000 in a month. And that's only about that's only about half what they were saying they were making in their first year monthly. And I'm like, this past month felt like daily. We were busy, slam-packed busy. For most of the day, we'd have our slow times or whatever.
Yeah.
Those P&Ls tell me that they are slam-packed busy at all hours of the day with no slowdowns. That's just not true. I mean, that's just not true. That's not possible. I've been over there. I've all those things. And it's not to. They did other things. They had,
and that could be. I'm sorry to cut you off, but that could be inaccuracies as well, as far as the recording of income. Because what they probably could have done, they could have just lost track of it for 6-7 months. Because that's happened to me too, where it's like, okay, how much did I make that month? And then you look at what you've made in total, and you try to like just cut them up and split them between the months,
Yeah.
And so they try to make it just for like tax purposes or whatever. They try to make it look real, but
And so that kind of to answer your question, long story short, we went based off of that.
Okay.
And so starting out, it was a bit of a humbling, like that is not what we're gonna make monthly. But then I also keep that in the back of my mind, like, dude, that'd be a heck of a standard to get to. I mean, and we're on our way. I mean,
knowing that it's possible.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that isn't impossible for a coffee shop. I'm saying to call for a first year to have expected that, like basically from the jump.
Yeah.
Was my first mistake.
Okay.
And that was whenever the reality of like we got to actually really work because we were. With those projections, we would already been profiting like 10-12%, like at that point. But that's not the case.
So what is the percentage of profit that you guys are having now?
It's different monthly. We've had
average.
So we've had months where it's 5 to 6, and then we've had months where we just break even.
Dude, that's amazing.
So
that's amazing.
We've never not broken even.
The statistic is 2, or was it 3 to 5? The statistic is a startup small business is not going to see profit for 3 to 5 years.
Right.
Correct?
That's true.
And you guys are in the month 10 and you're already seeing profit.
We've had months where we profited, yes.
See, that's amazing.
Yeah, where we were able to pull from the account and actually like go out to eat and stuff like that. And
that's awesome, man.
That's also though why I keep my regular job. And
Yeah. You guys aren't jumping in. Y'all didn't jump in full time to this. I mean, this is something that you are building on the side.
This is a side hustle.
It's a side hustle.
Which is crazy to say.
And it's a brick and mortar. It's a legitimate coffee shop. Like this place is nicer than some Starbucks I've been into.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, dude, that is amazing. And for me, I feel like that's just super inspiring. It's super encouraging. And just to know that, God and your faith in Jesus has pushed you through all the hurdles and all the setbacks and all of the things that would really prevent somebody from jumping into something like this. It's inspiring.
Yeah. No, I if anybody was looking for inspiration, we didn't know anything. My wife knew coffee. She worked at Starbucks. She had some background in coffee. Neither of us have had to run a business. Neither of us scaled to that size. So we literally just jumped over into deep waters. but did it knowing we had a life vest, and that's the Spirit of God.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and like you said earlier, you're glad y'all did this. It's been worth it for you guys. And I'm going to go ahead and say too, even with the businesses that I haven't seen much success in, I've seen success. I mean, I've made profit off some projects, but then in construction you get those projects that make you money, and then you get those projects that you lose a lot of money. That's what happened to me, and that's what I'm recovering from. And I haven't really kicked off with it's hard to do certain things when you're working full time. Like the things that I'm starting, it's really hard to find people that I can delegate. It's really hard to find people that I can trust, people that care about the work as much as I do, because it's my business, it's not theirs. And I can't blame other people, because that all falls back onto you as the business owner. And somewhere that I'm weak in and that I failed in was systems and systems and operations. So like procedures, systems and procedures. So like you guys probably have SOPs in place for your employees and stuff like that. For those of you that don't know what SOPs are, they're called standard operating procedures, and it's basically
We got handbooks and stuff like that.
yeah, it's basically like a guideline that gets the employee from point A to point B, and in construction and even in the coffee shop, it's, you know, for your customers, you can get them from point A to point B, depending on what you're
Yeah,
doing.
we have a sign-out book, so when the employees are here, they have to initial, like, I did this, I did this, I did that. And if they follow that, it'll make sure the shop runs smooth.
Yeah, and so, you know, when it comes to those little bits and pieces, and like, that's part of building the foundation, right? That's part of getting your fields ready before you build your house. That's where I failed at. That's where I was like, oh, we can figure all that out later, and I'm eating it because of that right now. And so, but I will, with all that, I said all that to say that even though my businesses haven't had the amount of success that I see they're going to have, it's I don't regret any of it.
Yeah, me either.
It's been extremely worth it to me because the knowledge that I've obtained and the experience that I've got, you know, through my failures in business and stuff, has just got me one step closer to, you know, finding that success and that fulfillment that I want. And, you know, it's crazy now because before I had the relationship that I do with God now, you know, the vision and the how, and you know, I was always worried. I was always stressed out. I would always have anxiety, you know, and when things weren't going good, I'd be like, man, this is just, this ain't even worth it and stuff like that. And then, but now it's like, okay, I see now that I have a strong, close relationship with God, real closer than I've ever had. I see now that every single bit of that was all just Him molding me into what
You're speaking my language.
You know what I mean? Like he was just molding me. He's getting me ready for what I think I want, but it's actually going to be His plan, His will. It's going to be much better than what I actually think it is.
Amen to that.
And so I see that for you and y'all's business, and I pray that for all the entrepreneurs that are watching this right now, or the ones that are looking into getting into entrepreneurship. Just know that, you know, His plan is always greater than yours, and so if your vision is already huge, if you just stick with it and keep the faith, and you know, stay working hard, and you know, get to the point where you can discern whether this is this or this is that, this is bad, this is good, I'm obeying God here or I'm not. You know, once you do that,
Amen.
Your path will, it says, there's a scripture that says something about the narrow path and then the wide path. People usually take the wide path, you know, because it's easier. That's where all the temptation, that's where all the desire, that's where all the distractions, all the excuses are. But the narrow path, you know, once you get to that point to where you can start to discern things, you'll start to find that path that's going to get you there faster than you'd ever would.
Right.
And so I feel like that's the path that you were talking about earlier that you and your wife are on now with this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's amazing, man. So this is Blake Miller, guys, and this is, man, I wish we had more time. We could kind of dig more into your story, but from what you shared, I feel like there's a lot of gold in there, and I really appreciate your time, man. I really appreciate you coming on the show. And hey, guys, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Like, comment, share, please. Everybody that's already been doing that, you guys are absolutely amazing. You are helping us out tremendously. I truly believe that, you know, entrepreneurs that are struggling or people that are wanting to get in entrepreneurship, they can learn a lot from these people that I'm interviewing. And the ultimate goal here is to get you to unlock that faith and just jump in there and make it happen, because it is possible for you. And not only is it possible, it's necessary to get to where you want to be and to get to where God wants you to be. So again, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.